Hello,
Rob.
everyone. Hey, this is Wayne Van Sluis from Interrel Consulting. Welcome to our webcast this afternoon, Oracle Analytics Data Visualization in an EPM World. And I'd like to introduce my co-presenter, Miss Alapat.
Hello, my name is Opal Alapat, and we are excited to talk to you about how to marry these two technology sets today. So for those of you who made this, this might be your very first weekly webcast that you've ever joined with Interrel Consulting. We've been working with Oracle EPM and BI technology since 1997. We are the proud 5-time winner of Oracle's BI and EPM Partner of the Year Award, and we have 6 Oracle Aces on staff, including Wayne and myself.
Yeah.
And before we get started, we wanted to share with you the set of amazing weekly webcasts that Interrel has planned for you for the next 5 weeks. Here are all the topics that will be covered, and you can sign up for future webcasts at interrel.com/webcasts. As Harvard Business Review predicts, a return to pre-virus levels of economic uncertainty will have to wait until a lasting solution to the pandemic, likely in the form of a vaccine, is found. This does not bode well for today's economic future. It could mean that we have to continue to hold it together as best as we can and write out additional months until a vaccine is proven and released. Or worse, it could mean that the economic recession that we're in right now could get way worse in the future. While everyone is hoping the economy recovers quickly, we have to make sure, especially right now, that we deliver the right information to the right people at the right time so they can make effective decisions quickly. In times of uncertainty, time becomes our most precious commodity. People tend to toss strategy to the side when things change rapidly, but that's exactly when we must stop and pause for a moment, determine our strategy for sharing information, and then put into place a strategy to make sure that as information begins to come in, you can immediately report on what happened, determine why it happened, and then take action. One of the coolest modern ways of reporting data is through data visualization software. This technology will help you report and process your rapidly changing data through these uncertain times. Data visualization is offered in a bunch of competing technologies, including Oracle. But within Oracle, data visualization is offered in multiple flavors and platforms, so customers of each can sample this awesome new way of consuming data. Let's walk through what data visualization options exist on the EPM side and which ones you can find on the analytics side. On the EPM side, it's important to understand how data visualization software connects to EPM. When we talk about connecting to EPM Cloud, business processes like planning or financial close and consolidation, we are really talking about connecting to Essbase, which is the primary data store for these applications. Essbase is often referred to as cubes, plan types, or databases. Cubes are groupings of related dimensions or hierarchies that define and organize the data stored within them. The cubes may include calculations for variances and ratios. The cubes may also include interfaces to meet business needs, such as revenue and expense planning, balance sheet planning, and reporting and analysis. Data visualization software can be connected to Essbase in a number of ways. We'll get that to in a second.
So within the Oracle Analytics platform, data visualization, the storytelling software, we're able to be more self-service. We have that new modern BI interface. Within the data viz connections, there's 30 plus different connections available besides just EPM connections. It's a click and drag interface. We pick what we want to look at. We start to drag in the dimensions or the attributes and the measures or the facts into the canvas. And we're able to then render a picture real quick about our data. And it allows us to go into something more of a presentation, or what we call storytelling. We've already found our information and we're trying to convey that message. Additional portions of the DataViz platform is the ability to create data flows, to do some wrangling or mashing up of different data sets. The The neat thing about data visualization in Oracle is that the library of visualization types are constantly expanding. And you don't need real heavy technical skills to work with this product. And for those who want to get into something more advanced, then we have the machine learning components. We have the artificial intelligence to analyze and help us interpret the data. And then there's also the natural language, either on a generation perspective, where it actually will tell you the story, what it finds in the data, or you're able to ask questions to the data and it will render a picture for you, or tell you which analysis within your stack is available to you to go further on that question. So what are the benefits of data visualization? Well, I think it's a lot crisper. It's a lot easier to interpret the data rather than looking at a large spreadsheet and lots of columns and rows. But it's the part that it really gives is it allows us to bring actionable insights to the surface. It's allowing us to ask the next question or take action on the data in a quicker process than having to go line by line or column by column.
Oracle EPM Cloud comes with its own visualizations called dashboards. These dashboards are more of a guided visualization through key business data related to the business process. They're created by administrators and they're assigned to users. The users, however, do have the ability to chart, analyze or drill down within the cube, comment on, and even modify data through the forms and interactive charts that may be included on a dashboard. Go ahead and kick off. Okay. For example, displayed is an expense forecast dashboard. You can change the global point of view of the dashboard and refresh the charts and data. Specific charts or forms on the dashboard may have a local point of view, as well as shown in the lower right chart. You can also hover over a specific chart for more specific information and double-click on chart segments to drill down into more detail. The legend itself is also active to drill down into or drill back up to the original content. Actions are available on individual charts to refresh and maximize the chart for closer analysis. And various options are also available on each chart to change the chart type or the layout of the chart. And something to note, the changes made by the user are persistent only in the current session within the dashboard, which means that a user that goes in and changes the chart type does not change it for everybody who consumes the dashboard, just for that moment and instance in time. So dashboards are simple to build in EPM Cloud. In the dashboard designer, the content is selected from the designer palette on the left and dragged onto the canvas to the right. So let's kick off this demo. Whoops. There you go. So the content may include forms, which you're already using in your underlying application, a variety of chart types, and external artifacts, which may be commentary or a web URL. So this dashboard is a revenue forecast dashboard, and it will be titled as such in just a second here. And there are global dashboard settings that we can apply, such as fixed or flexible layout, and the option to assign global business rules to the dashboard. So first, I'll add a tile chart, tile, to the canvas, which occupies the entire canvas by default. Then I will go into the revenue form folder and drag in the revenue by category form onto the canvas. And notice as I drag it to the bottom of the screen, let me let it catch up. I need to see a plus sign appear next to the form name to ensure it drops successfully below the tile chart. Finally, I'm going to add a third chart type, which is a donut chart to the left of the revenue by category form again, by looking for the plus sign to ensure successful drop on the canvas. And then next, I will adjust the settings of the charts. So first, the tile chart will be adjusted to include a form as its data source. By default, it just shows you a sample. I'll use the revenue summary form as the source. I'll also reduce the height percent of the chart to 20% of the canvas, and then scale the data values to millions. For the donut chart, I'll change the data source to the same as the form to the right, the revenue by category form. And then for the revenue by category form itself, I'm going to reduce the width percent of the form by 10%. And then I can select the runtime button at any time to view the dashboard as users would view it. So they get, of course, more real estate. When forms or grids are included on the dashboard, users will have all actions available as they would opening the form individually, which means that they can save the data and they can also run the business rules. If further adjustments are needed to the dashboard layout and content, you can toggle back and forth to the designer as the developer of the dashboard to further fine-tune the dashboard. And never forget, you also need to save the dashboard and assign users access to the dashboard to make sure that they can see it. And dashboards in EPM are being innovated. So later this calendar year, hashtag safe harbor, Oracle will upgrade the dashboards to version 2.0. This upgrade is a big one, and it will include a number of super cool visualizations, including spark charts, waterfalls, dual y-axis charts, geomaps, ring gauges, and more. In addition, Dashboard 2.0 will allow for additional data sources beyond forms, including cubes and infolets. So look for this update if you decide to stay within the EPM Cloud stack for your data visualization software. So then Wayne, I'll go ahead and take the slide. So then I guess the question is, why do EPM customers need data visualization? Because look at what we have in dashboards and look what's coming. Well, to be honest, on the data visualization side, it's going to be more robust for actual data visualization. So self-service visualization analysis, you're kind of creating your own dashboards, whereas on the EPM side, you're waiting for the administrator to create them for you. In addition, on the data visualization side, it's kind of interesting to do a compare and contrast because the charting options are different between the two tools. There are more charting options within data visualization, but then at the same time, it doesn't necessarily have all the same options as EPM Cloud Dashboards is going to have. The data visualization side uses analytics, right? So it's going to include modern BI features. And then in addition, the user of data visualization can actually determine what data sets they would like to introduce to their canvas. So for instance, on the EPM Cloud side, you're going to be limited to whatever the underlying application is for your data sets. But in data visualization, you can do whatever you'd like. It's a blank canvas. So you can add in new data sets, you can merge data sets. You're not limited to the underlying application.
So the DV EPM connection options are well, a couple, we'll put it that way. There's about 4 different ways now in which we can connect data viz to EPM. The one that we've fallen back to from before the connections were available was to mirror that EPM cube in Essbase because DV could connect to Essbase. Or we could take the EPM cube into Essbase and then model Essbase in the repository, the semantic layer of the Oracle BI stack, and then DV connects to that subject area that's been created. Now, well, a couple months ago, we were able to connect to EPM through the RPD. And that was like on-prem, but it took a while for the cloud to catch up. Now we have the direct connect from DataViz into EPM with the caveat that you need to have your EPM upgraded to, I forget the number. The release is coming out the end of June. So some notes about this. The Oracle Analytics Cloud uses the ADM API, and it doesn't directly connect to the cubes underlying within EPM. So we're working through a secondary broker. The metadata comes through. You get the dimensions, the columns that map to those dimensions, but all your dimensions are flat. We don't get any hierarchies. And you have a single measure with all the properties. So here is a quick DV project in the presentation mode of a project against our Planning Cloud Vision app. And this is via the RPD. We don't have the direct connection yet in place for our demos. So we've already created the visualizations. We're putting this into a view that we would maybe go into a boardroom with, much like PowerPoint. The idea is that this is still interactive. We can put our notes to call out data points, but this is more presentation mode, and you're not having to copy and paste out from PowerPoint into, or from DataViz into PowerPoint. It just looks like a PowerPoint, and we're able to flip through our various project canvases. Opal, this is you.
Yes, sorry, I'm waiting for it to show up on our screen.
Okay.
Okay, so listed here are some design considerations that you may need to keep in mind when you're connecting EPM to Oracle Analytics and the way that Wayne just showed, which is through the RPD. So the first thing that you need to know is that Oracle Analytics tends to think more relationally than it does multidimensionally. So this is not the same thing as just SmartView with visualizations, right? SmartView understands multidimensional databases. This is going to be more relationally driven. And if you don't know what that means, here are some kind of considerations for you. So for instance, the accounts dimension is, can be flat. And so you kind of have to be careful when you're using a financial reporting cube with a large accounts dimension. There's a couple of things you need to do. First of all, recognize that it might be a flat dimension when it displays in DV. So it might be hard to understand that at first. But in addition, you're going to want to tag it as accounts to make sure that you can take advantage of the inherent financial intelligence and features, including things like time balance, variance reporting, et cetera. In addition, don't forget to take advantage of the consolidation tags that are inherent in the underlying multidimensional structure. Also remember that with multidimensional, we often have ragged structures all over the place. What this means is that in a single dimension, you're not equally balanced, right? So you could have multiple levels for one of your hierarchies, your sub-hierarchies within that dimension, but then for a different sub-hierarchy within that dimension, it might have a different number of levels, which means that you could be completely imbalanced, and that will reflect differently within data visualization, as well as it often refers to the generation number and not necessarily all the different members that exist in your dimension. Another important consideration for basically any type of reporting, but when you're using a tool like Planning Cloud or Financial Consolidation and Close, years and periods are in two separate dimensions. And think about how that translates when you're going to do a trend report, right? So if you have a trend report that's crossing years, it can get a little bit tricky when you have two separate dimensions instead of one. In addition, your variance calculations could reside in a few different places, so you're going to want to think about that. Alternate hierarchies, how does that come over? And it may not look and feel the same as it did in EPM. And then in addition, remember that your multidimensional end users love things like member selection, drill through, keep only, remove only. This is what they're used to. And in data visualization, it's a little bit different with a little bit different functionality. And so that's more of a training issue.
So when you're bringing in EPM data sources into data viz, we get a lot of extra columns, and that's the part we need to be aware of for our end users, as well as the people who are trying to, if it's maybe just the person developing the canvas or the project. The dim name is how you will see your columns. So that's your member name. And you'll get a whole list of them within that, which you can see underneath the year. We've got the default alias. We have the English alias. We have generation num, which is actually which number of the generation that member that you're displaying is at. And then, of course, the leaf indicator, showing 1 if it's the leaf or the level 0. And it would be 0 for anything above level 0. So it's kind of this true or false, really. This leaf indicator is great for trying to set filters to get level 0 reporting. If you're going to go the route of modeling the EPM data source into the RPD, you've really got 2 different approaches. And real quick, the video that is out there on the Oracle YouTube says to create a logical area snowflake. I would recommend not doing the upper approach. Take the lower approach, drag in only the cubes or applications that you want to report on into the business mapping layer, and then over to the presentation layer. There's nothing really extra that you need to do in the RPD, unless you want to remove all those extra aliases. In my case, I only want to give my user the English alias and the default alias, so I'm going to delete in the business mapping layer all of the extra language aliases. They just take up space and make it harder for someone to get to what they want in the projects easily. The other part is how hierarchies are managed in the business mapping layer. Relationally, and with Essbase, we can get the generation looking hierarchies. With EPM data sources, they come in as parent-child. So if you're going to be doing anything off the dashboard and analyses tool within Oracle Analytics, you're working with a hierarchy that is only parent-child, and you have to use selection steps to accommodate for that. Remember, the hierarchy does not right now come into data viz. So we'll do a quick demo to see what you need to do to set up filters on your canvas. The idea is that we need to create basically a point of view in the canvas before we can really start to see data come in. So what we'll do is we'll start within our data elements. We'll bring in the value, and you can see right now nothing is rendering until we start to set these filters, and we're gonna have to set quite a few of them. So right now, the year, the view name, the year, well, I don't get my list of views or available values until I disable that to look at other columns. So you can see we slow down a little bit here. The scenario name, that little sweet spot there right to the right of the name, limit values by none. We have to do that for every dimension that we're going to put up in the filters so that we can pick a value from that list. Otherwise, it's trying to do what they call a cascade filtering. It's limiting based on something else. So here we're doing our plan scenario, FY16. The view is data. We'll get into the entity. Again, limit values by none. Pick our entity. We can search if we need to. There we go. And let's pick our product default. We'll bring that into our screen now, into our canvas. And we're still waiting on one more filter, which is going to be our accounts. And again, setting that filter, limit by none. And sometimes when this list is real long, we can do that search. I think I'm going to do a search now because it's just too far to scroll. So I'm looking for my total revenue. And you can see that blue line across it as it's rendering. It's kind of doing all the calculations. Here we can see now we have our products across the horizontal axes. And we want to bring it down to level 0 members. So again, set that filter to limit by none. And we're going to say that true, so we want level 0s. And guess what? I got an error. I thought I replaced this video. Well, what we get is the end result of a nice chart showing our products. And within a canvas, as a starting point, you may want to give a blank template with just your point of view setup so that someone coming in to create a project isn't spending all that time setting all those filters. So just something to consider, creating maybe a project template. So again, some important notes to consider. The gen number, use that as a filter. The leaf indicator as a filter. Alternate hierarchies will show up if the default column is selected. So you may want to, again, think about filtering that out. Other filters to consider. If you have more than one member, you may want to put that in for like the display. So you can see in the image to the right, again, filtering which generation you want to bring in or out of the view. So I don't want to, my grand total, I don't want to include product because product is already a roll-up of everything above it. So if you're going to put a grand total on that chart or that grid, consider taking out the parent. Again, you can do some keep onlys and removes within the data grid, but you can't drill down yet. And we're hoping that that will get taken care of in a future release. And of course, if there is no alias, we'll get a blank column or a blank entry there. So you see where product name on the product parent, there's no alias, so we don't see that. Something else to consider is that, of course, make sure people can see that data source. So make sure you set the permissions on the users or roles who can access or can view that data source. And we had talked about the Direct Connect earlier in the presentation. With Oracle Analytics 5.6 release, that is available, but it's dependent on an EPM Cloud upgrade. So their 5.6 is out for most folks. You may not see that connection because it will be a kind of a patch done after the EPM upgrade is out. So it's kind of like a 5.61. So that direct connection in the DV connections to EPM Cloud will be there. And it would look something like this, little stack in your connections. And this, of course, was courtesy of Oracle, and we appreciate them sharing their knowledge with us. These enhancements will include the member name, default alias, other aliases as well. And you won't need to do an RPD if you didn't want to. So, in conclusion, DV Direct Connect is here, with the caveat that it's maybe a couple days to a week out for some folks. EPM Cloud does have those guided visualizations via the dashboards today. But if we want self-service, we can use DV against those EPM data sources now. The EPM Cloud looks a little relational, and you have to adjust your thinking when working with that as a project. And you know, the best thing is we have the power of both of these solutions together. Keep in mind that these are two different licenses. You have a license for the Oracle Analytics, and you have a license for EPM Cloud.
So before we end, we wanted to give a shout out to Oracle for their recent big news. If you didn't see the PSA, in early May, Oracle announced that all Planning Cloud customers receive strategic modeling for free until the end of April 2021. This includes both legacy EPM Cloud license customers and those on the new tiers. If you want to get started modeling these new pandemic scenarios for your enterprise, email us if you'd like assistance. We can help you implement in 6 weeks or less. And if you need any extra guidance on your financial outlook, take a look at the current offerings on our website. Some are super quick and value price consultant engagements to help you manage in this time of uncertainty. And with that, thank you all for joining us today. What questions can we answer for you?
And for those of you who are new to Zoom, there is a Q&A at the bottom of your screen. You can click in there and post your question to us.
Thank you for the comment. You got a great job.
Oh, kudos. Can we consider Power BI as an alternative to OAC? I don't think Power BI can connect to EPM. However, Power BI does have connections to Essbase, I believe, and the other would be that Power BI can use JDBC and JDBC connections to the RPD on Oracle Analytics Cloud is available in the 5.6 release. Though it's not documented, you may want to reach out to consulting partners and they can help you with it.
We did get a comment, by the way, from one of our attendees saying that Power BI can connect only to on-prem Essbase.
Okay, but we can take Power BI to JDBC to the RPD. So if you can model it in the RPD, it becomes available almost like any database using JDBC to the RPD. Okay, good deal. All right. If you want further on that, shoot a question to info@interrel.com and we can channel that back. How does Power BI directly connect to Essbase on-prem? I don't know. Opal, do you recall?
I do not, but I know the person who, I don't know, Trey, do you want to answer that? I'm going to unmute you. So if you'd like to speak up and just let people know what your experience is with that, you're welcome to. Oh, sorry, he's not available. What I will tell you though is I actually did a presentation at Kscope 19 with Kellen Gorman, who now works at Microsoft. She used to be an Oracle DBA. And we did a presentation on Power BI against OAC Essbase. And I will tell you that that was a nightmare and we could not get a real direct connection that would work well. In the audience though, someone did explain that there was a way to connect to on-prem Essbase. I think it required utility. But what I will also, I'm just not entirely sure the details, but Trey did offer that there was a LinkedIn article about it. So maybe you can do a search and figure out what it requires to get that to work. I thought it was mentioned in the audience that there was like a utility that was required to get the two to directly interact. And thanks, Trey, for your guidance.
Okay. And he posted in the Q&A. We'll post if I can copy that. I cannot copy it.
You know what? I can. So give me just a second. Is there a way to? Oh, there is no chat.
No, we don't have. We don't have.
Sorry, guys. We did not realize we don't have chat. Oh, it's Trey's article, by the way. But yeah, if you just, I guess, email us at info@interrel.com. We will get you a copy of this article, but you could also just look up on LinkedIn, Trey Daniel, and he it's one of his articles.
All right. Feeding, okay, part 2 coming. Yeah, so Trey is saying that he wrote the article back in November FY19, so it might be new stuff. And again, with the 5.6 release, there is a JDBC connection. It's, again, not documented, but it's available. That would give you connection to the RPD for any external data reporting software. So you can use the semantic layer of OEC and then connect to that with JDBC from any data software, so like Tableau, Click, Power BI. If you can do a JDBC connection, you would be able to go through that.
And by the way, we did get a note from the person who does a wonderful job coordinating our webcasts, and she's saying that we can send all attendees a link to the article after the webcast.
Thanks, Trey. I haven't tried it yet. I'm waiting until we get upgraded to 5.6. I think our pod gets upgraded next week. So once that's there, then I will see if I can get a connection, and I will blog about it. And with that, I think we are out of questions. So
yeah.
Again,
so if you think of any other questions beyond this, again, you're welcome to email us at info@interworld.com. Wayne and I are also both on Twitter. You're welcome to hit us up there. And yeah, thank you for joining us today.
It's been a great day. Opal, always a pleasure to present with you.
You too.
And you all have a great day. Thank you very much for attending. Goodbye.
Enjoy your week. Stay safe. Bye.